I'd love to feel your body, but try to touch your soul. I'm dying of fake versions. I want something whole.
Right, hello and welcome to the VBRL podcast. This is a podcast for banger racing on Wreckfest on the Ep.1. We're hoping to do these once or twice a month, reviewing meetings that have been going down, big meetings in particular, such as the Civil War this week, and a few driver interviews, such as that sort of stuff. You know what I'm on about. This week we've had the Civil War, and I'm joined by three guests to review that. First of which is the Northern General, who is also the SBL promoter, Visca promoter, and the best promoter. He is Sean136. Hello, Sean.
Hello, Mr. Twist.
Now, I definitely saw the soundbar move there, so I'm hoping that we could hear you. Give us a thumbs up in the chat if we could hear him, and a big middle finger if you can't. And we're also joined by our second guest tonight, the Southern General, the VBRL promoter, and long-time racer at VBR Trappy. I reckon it's probably 4 or 5 years now, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. A long road.
Yeah.
Bands and...
Yeah, the first year you didn't race much, did you, to be fair? But yeah. And the final guest tonight, probably the special guest, the one everyone's looking forward to listening to. He was the Light Brigade pilot for the South on Tuesday. He's also a Barton Boy member. The Big Dog. Hello, Big Dog.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
That's all right, mate. That's okay. You've been very good so far. We've not had to take you out for a walk yet, so it's great having you in.
Oh, be quite a northerner.
That's what we like to hear. Cutting banter's started already. So, I thought what we'd do, lads, is we'd just go through the week as it went down. I suppose before the start of the week, we had the two captains, the two generals picking teams, Sean and Trappy at the start of the week. How do you think your chances were? We'll let
Trappy go first.
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
Go and see what you think.
Well, chances overall, I was fancying it this year after it being so close last year.
Yeah, I think on paper your team looked very strong.
But yeah, on paper to start off with, the teams looked all right, and then it got to Monday night and sort of fell apart.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get back to that shortly. But Sean, when you saw the strength in the South team, particularly midweek, what was your thoughts?
Worried is the word, and it definitely came to fruition. I think it's exactly what I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I thought I picked a fairly strong team nonetheless. I didn't think the weakest team, in my opinion, was actually Monday. Not necessarily because of any of the drivers I picked, just because of the class. Other than that, I think it was fairly good. But the South Trappy picked such a good teams for the rest of the week. It was just not going to happen for me. It didn't give me. It wasn't an easy run for us.
No.
Anyway.
Well, starting with Monday, the Robins. So the Monday's fixture ended 8-1 for the North, with the best rodder being deemed as Atomic Panda, best wrecker Archie 516, and most valuable player 771. His name slips in my mind. Lester. Was it Lester? It's not Lester, is it?
Who are you on about?
Number 71. Potter.
Oh, Potter.
Crikey, where did that come from?
Not far away. I think Leicester's his dad.
Yes, that's
so
the one. That's where I'm
from.
getting mixed up. Yeah, and he came out with the comment of the week, which we will not reiterate on this podcast. But yeah, I'm sure you can find it on Twitch still. What a comment it was. That's all I'm saying on it. But that started off with 31 Reese picking up the opening heat, which surprised me somewhat. I mean, Reese is a quick driver, but I wasn't expecting him to do any winning. I was expecting him more to be a sort of a backup driver. Atomic Panda picking 2 heats up, and Potter picking a final and a heat up, with Shed 1163 being the only driver for the South to pick up a point, winning one of the DDs. So highlights from that night, any of you? We'll start with Sean. Was there a particular moment that you enjoyed in that night?
I think the overall just good, fantastic teamwork from the north side. I think it showed. And let's be fair, and I don't think any of you have really raced together before as in a team. So the fact that to throw your wall in a mix like that and to work so well in a car that isn't very that used, it really gave me confidence going into the week. But sadly, that confidence was soon shattered. But maybe some cockiness after the first night. I think whether it was a bad thing, maybe having such a massive score going into night number 2, which was the issue we had with the rest of the week, because we had that cockiness that we'd already done, absolutely annihilated the South, and it came to bite us in the backside, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll come on to that shortly. Trappy, that Monday team, I know you had a lot of things go wrong on the build up to that. I mean, how many drivers did you have to switch in the end?
For my list, there's 1, 2,
5 drivers. So I mean that's a big change. That, and I mean, to be fair, I think the drivers you brought in were still as good as the ones that you originally had, but to try and pull a team together in that short a time is, I mean, one of the drivers you brought in was T-Boy279, who's a legend of the Xbox scene. So, and I think he had a few scathing remarks, really, from the team communication that night. Now, I mean, communication was a big part of it all week, and as Sean says, team members don't really know each other, and it's whether they're going to get on or not. I'm guessing that wasn't the case for the South team, Trappy.
No, it was a bit of a risk, to be honest. Just kind of throwing names I wasn't sure that I haven't seen race, and then trying to put them with people that they race with.
Yeah.
I think that was the main issue, because we had a pairing of Alfie Edwards and Shed, which worked, but I don't think the others.
No, I think if I was to pick 2 drivers out who did well for the South, I'd say probably Scooby485 and Spookster. I mean, we all know Spookster's a quality driver. Both of them had good pace on the night. Big Dog, what was you thinking after that first night, mate? I mean, normally our evening rituals to go on Prominence Poker, isn't it, mate? And I remember that night you was going all in with a pair of 2s and stuff like that, and it just wasn't yourself, was you, mate?
First off, thank both Sean and Trappy for doing it, and you, Mr. Twist, and for being the first year of me being in it. To me, the teams looked. When I first see him, I thought, oh yeah, there's good 2 teams here. We could see a good battle. Then, like Trappy said, he had to drop some of his drivers dropped there, and he had to change it. I thought some of it that the South were going to take it for a start, and then the North just come from nowhere. Being truthful, they come from nowhere. They were giving good shots and everything, but yeah. Decent team did win that night, but then they did get like a bit salty in the night, didn't they? I think they were the best and all that.
Well, I mean, you've got to do, haven't you, mate? That's a civil war. You've got to get cocky.
And then, like Sean said, we are going to get to it, but then that all went out the window, didn't it?
Yeah. So night 2, Light Brigades. It was a complete swing around with the South winning 8-1 on the night. And then we had the first talking point of the war with North being deducted 1 point, and I watched this first heat back yesterday, and it's clear as day. It's clear as day on the replay. Sean, do you want to tell us what happened, mate?
Sadly, 1087 just got across the infield, and I even actually brought it to attention because obviously I was commentating that night with. And I seen it, and in theory, I could have just let it, not mentioned anything. But I want it to be fair, because if I don't say anything, and and I see a South Drive do it, it's got to be fair both across the board. So I think last thing you want to do is start being sneaky between each other, because otherwise things get a bit nasty. Then, end of the day, we want to make it.
I think in Tin's defence, we all do team meetings. Team meetings are any rules. And
he didn't, he didn't come off the shale at anyone. He literally went from turn 4 to turn 2, right across the middle, across the figure of 8. But that was against the rule, was to stay off the shale by minimum. But if you did go on the shale, you couldn't go across the grass. If you went across the grass, that's a definite rule break. So that was the issue.
Yeah, I mean, the general idea of that was just to stop suicide lunges from one side of the
Yeah.
track to the other, and coming over the curb on the corners. We didn't want any of that sort of stuff happening. So the story of that night really was the South just outrodding the Northerners. So we had Stasia Tulip taking 2 heats, Mannering took a heat. Colby took the final and survived all the DDs for the South team, picking up MVP for the night. The only bright light in the tunnel really that night was Krusty Sock 89, who took one of the heat wins for the North. That was quite a surprise for me, really. He's not really a rodder, Krusty Sock, so to see him,
He's shown, to be fair, he's been probably the most driver that's been sort of apologetic about the loss, and I think also really happy that he got picked. And he's been saying all week in comments on Facebook and on the chats and whatnot. So I think someone would definitely be in, even though he was on a losing side, definitely someone I'd want to try and pick.
He lives and breathes the Civil War, Christy. So I mean, I know him in person in real life, and I think it's his highlight of the year. To be fair, the Civil War. I think it's what he looks forward to all year round. So to be able to experience it a little bit, I think, yeah.
When you think of a driver that probably more proud to even race for the Northern side, it was definitely someone that was happy just to even be on it.
Yeah.
So for me, that's Northern and proud, I think, is the word for it.
Yeah. So Tuesday night, Trappy, you've gone from being 8-1 down to now being 9-8 up. You must have been walking around the house like cock of the South, so to speak.
Yeah, I must admit there was quite a lot of shouting going on in the party as that was happening.
Yeah, I can imagine. Quite a young team you assembled on that Tuesday night as well.
I'm not young.
Well, we'll get to you in a second, Big Dog. You just keep that muzzle on in the corner. But yeah, on the whole, a young team that you'd assembled on that Tuesday night. So yeah, to finish as they did, I think. I mean, I was expecting them to maybe win 6-3, if I'm being honest. Certainly not to take it 8-1.
No, I didn't think it was going to be 8-1. I thought it was going to be a lot closer than that. But the team I picked was picked for the reason, and well, they showed it on the night.
Yeah, quality team. So one of the members that was in that team, Big Dog. How did you feel going into that, and how did you feel after it? I'm guessing you felt
Start of the night.
Yeah.
Felt, well, what's going to happen here? Are we going to win? Are we going to lose? It's like every team do.
Yeah.
And then Trappy came in the chat, advised what to do. We had the communication. Like Trappy said, there was a bit of shouting and everything going on. I will say, Sleazy did come in the chat afterwards and said, what the hell did Sean pick a team like that for? But that's his side, not the self.
Yeah.
We did alright. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed racing with the boys. I know I've raced with them before. I've helped them out in the meetings before. But no, it was a good team. I was happy that we took the win for us. They helped us take the win and we done well. And well done to Trappy for picking a good team.
Yeah, definitely. I think just a brief note on Sleazy. Sleazy, one of the heroes last year in the Light Brigade, absolutely dominated the South. And he was quite clearly devastated, I think, after North. I don't think I've ever heard Sleazy as quiet.
Very much so. Yeah, but he's quiet.
It's just one of those. With the format that we run this on, it's first across the line, and there's no such thing. You don't get any points for nearlies. It's 1-0 when you lose, and 2-0 and 3-0 and 4-0. So it's can be a very demoralising situation. And talking of,
I mean, the thing is, I don't think it was a bad team for maybe 2 drivers I could have possibly swapped out. When you watch back and you go, no, those 2 drivers maybe cost it, doesn't it? I think if maybe 2 other different drivers might have made the difference, but that was what I was left with.
But that's one of them.
It's tricky.
It's one of them things, isn't it? It's you look at people and you go, oh, I'll take them out just on the off chance they might not be as good as someone else, but they might have the night of their life on Wreckfest and win.
Yes.
Well, this is it. You take a gamble on some people. Obviously, some people you go, I have no idea who they are, so you're not going to go for them because they might be brand new. So you've got to sort of go for people you know, and sadly, the people I know sort of let the team down. I think. Even drivers that have been in it a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think. I mean,
But that's
when
one
we
of the
talk about letting teams
things you-
down, I don't think anybody all week let any
No,
of the teams
but
down.
it's a gamble, I think.
Yeah,
isn't it, when you
you've
pick
got
a
to
team.
hold your hands up sometimes and say the other team were better on the night. And talking of that,
Oh, 100%.
Wednesday night, the infantry team. Now, I think this was the team of the week for the South, and I think they could have won any night that they were in. If you put them in all the nights all week, it would have been a crazy score. Obviously, that wasn't the rules. But just to go through some of the stats, so the South won 9-0 on Wednesday. Value Mark taking a heat, Magic Gambler taking a heat, Staples taking a heat and the final. Fredson also taking a heat. The only race really that the North looked like they had a chance of winning was the final, and I still think the North could have won it. You had Smith Dog doing bits on Oppo. Legends went really well to begin with until PRI put him away. And even at the end, Staples was the only real rodder for the South. North had two up front, and Staples just somehow managed to soap his way through the Northern blockers. He had two Northern blockers going Oppo for him, and he still managed to sneak through both times. So, really good performance for the South. Trappy, who would you have picked for your... I mean, I didn't know... I think you did pick a rodder and a wrecker that night, but I can't remember who they were.
I'm pretty certain I chose Staple as a rodder.
Yeah,
'cause,
for
well,
obvious reasons.
he showed his talent, showed his
Yeah.
worth. And there's a reason he led VBRL points for a while.
Well, he won them, didn't he, last year by a country mile?
And then I think Wrecker I went for... I'm pretty certain it was OCR Outcast
Yeah.
or Value Mark.
Yeah.
They both seem to put in a good stint.
Value Mark surprised me on the night, really, because he's known as a rodder Value Mark, but he did a really good job on Oppo, actually, to be fair, holding up the North drivers.
And he wasn't actually meant to be racing on Wednesday night.
No, and I mean that could have ended up being your downfall, to be honest with you, because a driver like Mark in the Thursday team that he was originally supposed to be in could have tipped that Thursday meeting to a higher score for the South.
Oh, definitely.
It's just the way it goes. Big Dog, would you have preferred to have been in the Tuesday team or the Wednesday team, mate, having seen how they both went?
I was happy with the Tuesday team. Yeah, when I first see it, I was like, oh, what am I doing in this? I don't rate the Nexus as soft as paper.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoyed it. And the performance that Wednesday night boys put out was phenomenal. To me, that was the best night of the week, being truthful.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it and everything. Cheering even more when we was beating the North because it's just a one-up again. But it was a good thing.
Yeah.
But my best record was Outcast. Yes, it was a fight between him and Mark. Yes, Mark is a good record, and he is a good rod. He is the champion of SBL.
Yeah.
But at the end of the night, it was a good night.
Yeah. So after that night, Sean, 18-8 to the South, did you feel it was war over at that point? I mean, I know not mathematically war over, but it was looking desperate, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think for me, knowing that I was racing Thursday, I knew that there was a lot riding on it. I was hoping that, obviously, after the devastating score of Tuesday, I was really hoping that... I didn't think fair play to that. I didn't think they were going to win it. But I was hoping maybe they'd get a point. But sadly, that wasn't to be, whether it just didn't gel together as well as I wanted. Obviously, we did have 3 bears, but technically 4.
Yeah.
But it still sadly didn't, because it was technically bear on bears, and because
Yeah.
similar sort of friendship group, and sadly the south side just seemed to edge it for. There was times where you thought, oh, the north might get a point here, and it all just broke apart. And some races where they're having 4 up front, and then the south just kept fighting it back, taking one out at a time, and then they were just left with the guy out front, and all they had to do was get rid of him, and that was it.
Yeah.
I think on speed as well, I think the south were quicker as well. So even on just pure pace, the north just didn't have it on the night, which is a shame.
No, I mean, to pick out a
just...
few drivers, having looked back at the replay, Trimnell went well all night. He was always there or thereabouts in the races. I think Epic Sandwich got targeted a bit. I think he was probably the strongest driver for the North going in, but he just got obliterated all night by his Probably by his teammates, to be fair, on the South team. So, going into Thursday, opening heat won by North driver MDXF Exile. And at that point, little bit of hope. That night, unfortunately, ended 5-4 to the South, with the South taking the remaining heats and the final, and then the North doing a bit of a rallying comeback in the DDs. You, of course, were racing that night, Sean. How did that night unfold?
I think interesting, really. I think that was the night, wasn't it, where everything went down. Twitch was down, Xbox was playing up, all the parties were screwed. So we resorted to using Facebook Messenger. The meeting started like 20 minutes late. So yeah, I think we were definitely rallied up and a bit probably annoyed. It's the word, I think. So to get a first point was good, and then it just seemed to break apart. I mean, Heat 2, the South was all over us, and then Heat 3, just a bit of a unlucky event where two North drivers come together on the back straight and took Kane out, and then in the Heat 4, Dibble did a fantastic shot on a North driver, and as his Exile was about to cross the line, came out, and it possibly could have been another point on the board, and then the final they were all over us, and we knew that going into the DDs we had to be on it. It's good that the lads managed to sort themselves out. Even Kane did a fantastic job in the DDs, made sure he didn't time out.
I think I know he's a teammate, but I noticed Robinson in the DDs put in a fantastic performance. He was smashing absolutely everything.
The lads they were trying, and there's no denying that they were trying. I mean, in the shots that they were 100% accidental. I mean, it wasn't like. I mean, the problem is, you sort of go all out, don't you? When
definitely.
It was sort of unlikely that I don't think the lads realised that XI was that close to getting the win anyway, and obviously the top two were both South. So Dibble was just going for an all or nothing shot and hoping to stop him, and obviously not realising that XI was there. So
now, also racing that night was the Southern General Trappy. Before we did this podcast, I had a look through all the finals this week, Trappy, and I noticed in the Thursday final you put a massive shot in on Sean 136, didn't you, mate? I think you ended
that
it.
That was the aim.
I think you did, yeah.
I stated before the meeting that he was going in, so
quite an opposite thing to last year. You raced 3 nights, I think, of the 4, and obviously this year you only had to race the 1. And at one stage it looked like you might not be racing at all. So
no, at one stage I did actually take myself out of all the teams to give the Southern drivers the opportunity to have a go.
Yeah,
but
I'm guessing you was quite happy with the performance overall on Thursday. I mean, obviously it was only a 5-4 win, but it was still a win.
No, the boys did as I asked. When I got in a party, I just said to them, let's go out there, get the win, doesn't matter the score.
Yeah.
And come back 5-4.
And did you get round to watching that night, Big Dog, or was you one of the unfortunate ones that couldn't see the action?
I see the action.
You was in the commentary box, weren't you? Of course you were. How could I forget that?
Yeah.
So how was your first night on commentary, mate? Did you enjoy that?
Enjoyed it. It was a bit strange, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I did cheer when Dibble did Exile on the night.
Yeah.
I thought that was the best shot of the meeting.
I did notice that.
Being truthful.
I think highlights of that meeting included you screaming for the South not to hit each other in the DDs.
Yeah, I did. But no, that was the shot of the meeting. Dibble doing that just made my night. I thought, yes, seeing that made me happy. But no, I thought it was good fight. It was a good fight between them.
I can confirm it didn't make me happy. I can confirm that. The chat was abysmal when that happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best. Oh. But no,
Yes, the
we
stream
laughed
was
about
down
it
a
at the
bit.
end of the day.
The streams were down a bit, which annoyed it a bit. But no, it was good. It was enjoyable to do a bit of commentary and that and have a chat and that.
Good.
I think I think what was worse as well, I think the lads realised that we could actually lose it on Thursday. Because some of the lads goes, "Can we actually lose it tonight?" And I went, "Yeah, we can lose it. If they max score tonight, that's it. We're out." Yeah. They're like, "Oh, yeah." So I think the reality set in on a few, and that knowing that it could all be lost.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they managed to sort themselves out as they weren't in the best of mood after the final, and we managed to sort ourselves out in the DD to give the Tanks team even a chance, a glimmer of hope.
Yeah, so onto the Tanks night, it went in scores at 23 points to the south and 12 to the north. If I'm being honest, I was looking at Friday night just hoping that the North could win the night and get it a bit closer looking on the points. I certainly was not expecting what happened. North obviously led by Rob Woolhouse. Spratt taking 2 heats, Boffy taking a heat, Nighty taking the final, and Dwarf taking a heat for the south. Trappy, I suppose you're probably the best person to ask here, mate. What went wrong?
Well, what went right? No, the boys went out and tried, but I just think the north side were driving to the tee.
Yeah, you've got to. Sometimes you just got to like Tuesday and Wednesday. You've just got to hold your hands up and say the other team has delivered.
Well, I messaged both yourself and Sean afterwards saying that the Northern team, you couldn't take anything away from them. They were, I think, even if the Southern drivers put up more of a fight, it was still going to be touch and go.
I mean, I watched the final back today from the Tanks, and Grew 157 put in a massive performance in that final. He got rid of Snapper, he got rid of Rob Woolhouse. Blocked 90 up for a good lap to allow the South to have 1, 2 and 3. Sitka and Shorty were leading the way for much of it until Bandit put a massive shot in on Steve Sitka, pushing him back down the straight, which allowed 90 to then catch the leaders up. And then later on in the race, Lewis, a massive shot on Dwarf, to hold Dwarf up with only a couple of laps to go. And then even on the last bend, Nighty just had to avoid a massive shot coming in from Dwarf. Dwarf absolutely rattling the fence. But, I mean, we spoke earlier in the week, Sean, I think. When you're going for these oppo shots, you're better on the corners, but when it's getting to that late in the race where you need to stop someone, it becomes all or nothing, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, massively. I did a massive shot on someone on Thursday, and it just comes to the point where he's like, right, I've got to do it. It's going to be, it's going to take a massive amount of health off yourself, but you just got to hope there's no of your opposite team there in the way. Done enough team meetings around there to know how devastating some of them hits can be on yourself as well as the other car.
Yeah,
they are suicide shots, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't take away. The South team for trying a thing. I was not expecting, like you say, we're not expecting the score to go the way it did. Looking at it on paper, you go, the North are going to put up a fight, but probably not to the level that they did. I literally couldn't believe, even when you watch it back, and I don't think I really understand what's going on, to be honest, a lot of the time. I think realising that we're there, we're going to win this, we're winning this. And because I knew going into that, all it took was literally, it could just be one race and then one DD and that was it. It was all said and done, or even just a final. And that's what I knew. And I think whether that was maybe one of the reasons why the South lost, because they were just too confident.
Yeah.
Like on Tuesday night, maybe too confident for the North, and that was, sometimes confidence is a bad thing, going into it, just too cocky sort of thing.
I think once we got past the final, I really started to believe, knowing as well that we had Boffy in our team, who just seems to have an extra bar of health on his car in any DD he does. At that point, I thought, you know what, we might have this. Big Dog, at what point did you realise that it was going to be a bad night and a
first race?
First race, really? That soon?
Yep. Being truthful, not being funny, yes, I was supposed to be in the commentary box with Sean Taylor that night as well.
Yeah.
But his sound quality was really
Right. Fair enough.
About to smash it
but
up.
no, fair praise when they took the win. They dwarf taking it, which was shocking. Some of it, I thought, it's either one or the other. Some of it because how they've given the shot to not just the North. Yes, I was thinking, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
We had a good team out there. It was down to the wire. To the last DD, being truthful.
Yeah.
It was the last DD what done it. If the shots, what they've taken, I thought some of them, I think they're taking too many silly shots. Yes, everybody does it in the game, but no. It was down to the wire, and well done for the North for winning.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair enough, and I think all week it was a cracking war. So no doubt we'll see Sean back next year as the Northern General. I think he deserves to be back. I think he deserved to be back, having won it. Scooby has asked in the
I didn't think he was going to win it.
Scooby has asked in the chat whether we'll see you again next year, Trappy, as the Southern General. I think you mentioned about a wager or something you had with one of the North drivers.
There was a slight wager with the North captain of the tanks. That if the North won, that I'd have to hang up my racing boots and general papers for someone else next year.
Well, I mean, a year's a long time on the online racing, so we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and find out what the crack is with that. But it would be a shame to lose you as general, especially with you having come so close to winning it this year. But
Both years.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, to finish tonight, we've got something a little bit special. I've asked each of the guests to pick 7 drivers, the team of the week for this week. And I'm going to get you guys in the chat to decide who you think has the best outfit from the week. Obviously, remember, this is team of the week, so it's not necessarily how people would normally perform in meetings, it's how they performed this week. Who would like to go first?
I reckon we should let Eddie go first.
Oh, why me?
Well, I'll tell you
Well,
what, Eddie.
general
I'll
should.
go first. I'll go first, seeing as it was my idea.
Well, seeing as I haven't got a list because you never asked me, but you know, it's fine.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we'll let you go last then, Sean. So, so my first pick for my team, and we can all mix up who we pick. We don't all, we can all have the same drivers. So my first pick for my team was Rob Woolhouse. Obviously, I think he was probably the best captain of the week. He had to bring back a massive deficit, and he did that. Second pick, I've gone for Boffy 213. Just an unreal performance last night, Friday night, destroying South team left and right, and leading most of the races throughout. Third pick, I've gone for Spratt. You need a really good rodder, and Spratt is certainly that, and won 2 of the races on the Friday night. Fourth pick, I've gone for Potter 71 because Potter just had an incredible night on Monday night, and it got the North off to a really good start. And then I've gone for 3 South drivers. So the first South driver I've gone for is Archie Ray. Fantastic performance on Thursday night. You can't take it away from him. Normally a wrecker, but he actually had a win in the final. And that's kind of what I like from my wreckers. I like the ability to send them on the rod if needs be. And then 6, I've gone for Staples. I don't know how you can't go for Staples. Oh, hello. Well, we've got an issue here with the thingy. We'll sort that out in a second. So, yeah, Staples is number 6, and number 7 is Boffy. No, it's not. Stagia Tulip. Losing my mind. Right, so, yeah, that's my 7. Rob Woolhouse, Boffy, Spratt, Potter, Archie Ray, Staples, and Stagia Tulip. So, Big Dog, are you ready with yours, mate?
Not the sec. Do Trappy.
Do,
and then
do
the-
Trappy, right? Okay, Trappy, are you ready with yours, mate?
Yeah, I'm just doing them off backhand. I've got a good idea.
Oh,
So obviously, some of them are going to be the same.
yeah, of
because
course.
there's no reason not to.
Hmm.
But the first one for me is Staples, just purely because he's one of the fastest about.
Yeah,
He can wreck Rod, do the business. Again, Archie Ray, because he put a massive effort in. He can show he can rod as well as have a good crash up. And he's usually problematic driver within the community, usually.
yeah. And the fact it didn't cost you any points must be commended.
Yeah, that's very true. Which was what Sean was hoping for come.
It's certainly what
Thursday.
North needed by Thursday, I can tell you that much.
I've gone for another Southern driver again with It's Colby.
Yeah, must admit I did
Because
think,
he's another that surprised me with his effort,
did think about putting
not
him
only in
on.
the DD but in the rodder. Then after Colby, I've put Value Mark.
Yeah. Really good performance actually on Wednesday from Mark.
Why he's one of the best in the community.
Yeah.
Then I've gone off on the leaf and I've picked up Sprat from the Northern Tanks team.
Yeah.
Just, well, they're all for the same reason. Like, they can do both rodding and wrecking
Yeah. Yeah.
and show what it's about. I've not seen much of Sprat because he's moved to PC, as most of the South Tank team.
More of a stock car driver, I think, Sprat, to be honest with you, but a really quick stock car driver at that.
And then out of my last two, I've picked up Dwarf,
Yeah.
despite him losing us a point with his massive jump across the shale.
Yeah.
He's definitely up there as well. And then NLWR.
NLWR. Okay, so that is Trappy's 7. We will transition that across. So just before we go on to Big Dog 7, just a big thank you to Luke's Big D1. Hello, mate. Thank you for the follow. So Big Dog, have you got your 7 ready?
Yeah.
Okay, we are.
First off, it is going to be a Northern driver.
Yeah.
It's going to be Sprat.
Sprat in at number 1 for Big Dog.
Yeah. He is phenomenal. Not being funny, even with the performance he put on this week, even other times he's on, he is phenomenal. But this week he put a big performance on, which just made me happy and picked him
Yeah.
for number 1. Second is another Northern driver. It's Rob Woolhurst.
Yeah.
Yes, he may be a Barton boy. He may be one of the top committee members and everything, but the shots he gives is phenomenal. And Harry got Dwarf to jump over that corner was phenomenal as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Third off would be Dwarf,
Okay.
one of the fastest drivers. He brought the point back for us. He brought 2 back, but lost 1 back for us on the Friday. But no, he did well. He put a show on there to bring us the points back, which made Sean Taylor get his tissue box ready.
May I remind you, no pressure for the North, or was that Mike? No pressure.
You may think this is weird, but Sean Taylor is one of my
Bloody hell.
Yeah. What were you?
Being truthful.
What were you watching?
Being truthful, if it weren't for Sean, and the one after that is a bit the same as this
Yeah.
one. If it weren't for Sean, you wouldn't know who would be out there and how much work he had to put into it to get it to that degree, to get him to take that win, and the communication that and sorting it out and everything. And we've got left. I forgot.
We
now.
need 3 more drivers. You pick Sprat, Rob Woolhouse, Dwarf, and
Well-
Sean 136.
Fifth one, sorry, is going to be Trappy, because he was a phenomenal. Well, I've got to say that word, yeah.
It's close, but it's not quite right. But we'll give it you.
Yeah, right. He was brilliant. Of Harry sorted the teams out. Harry had to jump people back quickly, get them all sorted out. Yes, with the communication he was putting into us all and that and sorted it out, it was ideal. It was perfect how we
Yeah.
wanted it. Yes, we lost it at the end, but it said it's down to the last DD being
Yeah.
truthful. My sixth driver. It's going to be strange, but it's going to be Scooby.
Scooby, okay.
From Monday night. He was battling hell for leather for that to get them wins. Harry did not get them, was phenomenal, but he was battling like anything. He was driving his socks off,
Yeah.
I think, for that.
No, I'd agree with you there. He went very well on Monday night.
And my final one.
Is he going to pick himself?
No, I'm not picking myself. It is going to be Stagger Tulip.
Okay.
Stage Tulip or whatever.
Stage your tulip, I
days.
believe, although I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
It was him for Tuesday nights before, for Tuesday night performance. He would. Harry was saying, "Oh, they're there," and he was winning it. He showed up and performed really
Yeah.
well. But no, that is my 7.
Yeah, he's a really good driver.
It might be a bit weird, but
he's
there
a
we
really
go.
good driver, to be fair, Tulip. Right, Sean. Quick as you can, mate. Although not too quick because I need to be able to write them down. You're 7, mate. Have you found them very quickly?
I have, yeah. So number 1 would be Rob Woolhouse, of running the troops together on Friday night and bringing home the win. When he joined the party, you've never had someone so happy. By any means, so massive credit to him. It was half the reason the teams were sort of spread out the way they did. I mean, I almost thought about putting the Barton boys together, but I spread them out to have strong captains across the week, and Rob was one of them that I knew be able to lead the way, and he didn't disappoint. And then next driver up is Exile. I think for me, a bit of a standout driver on Thursday night, trying his hardest to get through the rest of the shambles that we were giving him. But he was definitely probably the standout driver for me off the north side on Thursday night.
Definitely the best rodder, I'd say, from that team.
Massively, yeah. He was about half a second quicker than everyone else.
Yeah.
And then next driver's Southern driver of Archie Ray. I'm not a huge fan of Archie, but he definitely showed he's got the talent there when he decides to not break rules, and I definitely made it hard for the Northern team.
Yeah.
Next up is Boffy. I think just an all-round rodder and wrecker. I think a bit like Rob really. Just one of those drivers that can sort of do both, and doesn't matter what situation they normally can get out of it.
I think Friday really opened my eyes to just how good he is, actually.
Ridiculously good, isn't he?
It's kind of been hidden whilst he's been in TGU. You just expect anybody to be able to win with TGU, but he was unreal on Friday.
And then we've got Spratt next. Obviously, he's on everyone's list for a reason.
Yeah, yeah.
He's stupidly quick driver.
The North needed someone to combat Jay Cant's speed, and Spratt did that all night.
Well, this is it. This is why he was there. That's why I picked him for that side. And then the Southern fast driver Staples off Wednesday night.
Yeah.
He's just an all-round driver, and there's a reason why he was the VBRL points champion last year.
Yeah.
And possibly again this year, but he's got fierce competition.
Yeah.
And I think one driver that's not on any of your lists is 90. A driver that hasn't raced really that much, but he put a performance in for me. As he was squashing any red car he could see. He was rodding his. He was a lot quicker than I thought he was, and it was Rob that suggested to use him as well. So it was on Rob's head if he was rubbish.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. I mean, obviously, I know of 90 for racing with him a few times, but I didn't think he'd be as good as he was with not being a regular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
No, well, I think we picked 4 good teams there between us. Staples has made 3 of the lists, and Spratt obviously making all of them. So I think that would suggest most thinking that he's probably driver of the week. Boffy making a couple of lists. Archie Ray, possibly the surprise driver of the week, putting in a hell of a performance on Thursday night. He's made 3 of the lists. So yeah, fantastic that. So before we finish, I've got a poll up in the chat, so you've got 5 minutes to vote on which of those 4 teams you think would win if they had a fantasy tournament up against each other. Any other business, chaps? Anything else you want to mention before we head off?
I have a small list of things.
Oh, crikey.
Well, fuck, here we go.
Only a,
team
small,
chat.
only a small list. I've got to go because I've got to cut my tea quickly before this Hornet meeting. But I
I hope you're having one of Eddie's
I think
Rustlers
just a quick
burgers.
mention.
I was going to say one of Eddie's
mate.
microburgers would be
No,
done.
mate. I've had a slow cooker meal. Slow cooking all day, mate.
Oh, nice, lovely.
So-
Come on then, what's the list?
So, I think quick mention of just VBRL on a whole. I think obviously we've started off the month and started off the year with a bang. I think hopefully we continue that, and obviously with how we're trying to go with the E-Series stuff. There's a lot of big meetings on in January. Obviously we've got Icebreaker this coming Tuesday, and we've got HMC coming up and the Bus Wheel Final as well coming up as well this month, and the Winter Open. So there's definitely a lot to get stuck in on VBRL, I think. And we've got Trackstar joined VBRL as well.
Big news.
This coming into 2021, which is fantastic news. Obviously, and then we've hopefully got the introduction of the teams ladder coming in shortly. Mr.
Yeah,
Chris.
that's something that I really need to knuckle down on now. Civil War week always
Yeah.
takes up all of my time,
Oh,
so
massive.
I get nothing done during Civil War week, and I've actually managed to get the points updated, so that's more than I've managed in previous years. So no, that will hopefully be coming by the end of January.
Yeah. And then the last thing is just the continuation is the Visca formulas coming back for this month, for this following week, which is the F1 Heritage and the Rallycross. And obviously you've got your mini stocks and the hot rods
They'll
on
be
as well.
finishing in February, yeah. And obviously Best of the Best coming up at the end of January on a Wednesday.
Yeah. Wednesday, yeah, slightly different this month as well, slightly different car list. So it'll be sort of UK-based car list, so more sweepers and dominators and hearses and things like that we're hoping to see on track rather than, but it was just, so, you know, the usual stuff.
Yeah.
So I think things are on the up for the community
Yeah.
as a whole, and
Hopefully,
VBRL,
and we're looking to do more of this sort of thing. So if anybody's out there listening, fancying coming on, having a chat with us, I think me and Sean's discussed doing some sort of discussion on what formulas people race as well. So if you race a formula in real life, have a chat with us. Tell us what you've won in the past and what you're hoping to win in the future and stuff like that.
Yeah, talk about people, you know, on what they do on Real and what they do on Xbox and why they come on Xbox.
Yeah. Right, excellent. So
I've just got
go on,
something to
Big
say.
Dog.
Oh,
I've only been on Xbox, whatever you want to call it these days, Wreckfest, for the last year, and if it wasn't for you, Twisty, Trappy, Taylor, thanks to Taylor for letting me join Barton Boys, Snapper and all them, and Rob, and everybody who puts meeting up, there wouldn't be nothing like this, would there? Being truthful, it wouldn't be. It'd be just like sitting here going, "Oh, we'll race them, we'll have a go against them." But no, it's getting better. It's getting more fun, more of a laugh. Everything. Yes, you can have your little digs, you can have your little wind up, but it's a good committee and everything. Hopefully this year will be better. As soon as COVID's gone, I can go back racing.
Then we'll all stop racing online, mate.
No, I'll still do it.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Big Dog. It's, I mean, it's a effort from everyone. Everyone puts their effort in, even if you just race. It's a big effort. Hashtag community builders, as Rob Woolhouse has put in the chat. Trappy, have you got any other business to take care of, mate, before we head off?
No, I think Big Dog covered it.
Yeah,
Very
I can hear you. Very emotional after that speech from Big Dog, as
Oh, what I'm wiping the
we
tears
all
away,
will
mate.
be. So a final thank you then to my guest tonight, Sean, who we'll no doubt see again in the future on these podcasts. Thank you, Sean.
no, you're very
Thank
welcome,
you,
mate.
Trappy.
Good to be here.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Big Dog.
Thank you for letting me
And
come in.
we'll.
And thank you to you two for doing them.
You're
Teams.
very well. I was going to say you're very welcome, but it wasn't me that did the teams.
No, you just turned up.
I did, mate. Yeah, I was just happy to be there racing. So yeah, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again at some point with another podcast. Thank you very much.
How can you love and stay normal? You're not the first I've seen get it eaten from within.